Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation from Gauri Mahalla Panjama. Kot Bighan Khin Mahe, har har katha sad sang sunahe. Pivat Ram ras, amrit gun jas, जप हर चरण मिटी खुद तास रहाओ सर्ब कल्याण सुख सहज निदान जाके हृदय वसै भगवान औखद मंत्र तंत्र सब्बे छार करने हार हृदय महतार तज सब परम भजियो पार ब्रह्म कहो नानक अटल एहो धर्म. Guru Arjan here is talking about method on the right way. And he says, Pivat Ram Ras Amrit Gun Jas. Japi har charan, miti khudi taas. So the first thing that you have to do is to calm the mind down. The fire of desire that is burning incessantly within us and distracting us has to be contained. Otherwise, no progress can be made. And that is made by what he calls Pivat Ramaras. Amrit Gunjas. There's a couple of elements here. Gunjas is the cultivation of virtue. Pivat is to drink. Drinking signifying absorbing, assimilating. Ram, Ras, Amrit. The life-giving nectar. Amrit. Life-giving. Ras, the essence. Ramaras, the essence of the self. So the Guru here is referring to self-knowledge, which he calls the elixir, the life-giving essence. Jap har charan miti khudi taas. That is the way that you contain or appease the fire of desire. In other words, that is the way that you bring and contain the mind from jumping around from place to place like a monkey, as it has been called. And he starts the passage by saying, Kot Bighan Khin Mahe, har har katha sad sang sunahe. So by meditating on herself and appeasing the fire of desire, he says, when I heard the narrative of the herself, har har katha, the teachings, in the presence of enlightened beings, 1,000,000 impairments vanished. Bighan. Bighan is an obstruction or a disorder. And he's saying, Kot Bighan Hire. Hire is, the literal meaning is to abduct, but to take away. So in other words, all of my obstructions were overcome. So what are these obstructions? Well, they are rooted in Khuditas, in that fire, because it creates millions of desires and millions of distractions. So all of those disappeared in an instant because you see the point. Sarab kalyan sukh sahaj nidhan jaake hriday vase bhagwan. When the self comes to abide in the heart, then the treasure, nidhan, of all happiness, comfort, and equipoise, sahaj, is experienced. Now, this verse can also be interpreted to mean that when the self is awakened, the mind finds its natural inner center, its essence. And that experience of finding its own essence is the most treasured state of mind, nidhan. When that happens, there is clarity. The writ of hukam becomes clear, and the welfare of humanity becomes an imperative. Sarab Kalyan. Kalyan, welfare. Sarab, everybody's welfare, becomes a priority. And that state, that treasured state, is characterized by sukh, which is wholesomeness, and sehj, which is natural ease. It's a wholesome feeling. And in the third verse, the Guru appears to be addressing the tantric and the yogi with their stress on magical formulae and reliance on various devices to center the mind. He says, Aukhad mantra tant sab shar, karne har hriday mehtar. Futile are other formulas and devices. Bring to the heart the doer of all things, the karta. So in other words, bring your mind, fix your mind on the self within through the teachings of the Gur Enlightener. The Enlightener will guide you on how to do that. And he emphasizes in the end, he says, Taj sab param. Give up all your doubts and delusions. Pajyo par brahm. Pajyo is from pajan, paj, which means to actually race. And it also signifies devotion. So the Guru is saying, give up your doubts and delusions and devote yourself to the transcendental creator, Par Brahm, who reflects within. Kaho Nanak atal eh taram. This is the inviolable law. Now the word taram is from the Sanskrit tri, which means that which holds things together. And it is usually a reference to Indian religious systems as well as caste-based functions. But in Gurmat, hukam is the only dharam. So it is to hukam that we must attune ourselves and harmonize ourselves. On that note, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.